Welcome to my channel Mintage Mysteries, where every coin has a hidden story. If you love discovering hidden treasures and uncovering coin secrets, you're in the right place. We're on a quest to solve the puzzles behind the world's most fascinating coins. From rare errors to legendary rarities, let's dive into the mysteries of numismatics. The 1955 Lincoln penny is a small yet historically rich piece of American coinage, embodying both artistic design and a noteworthy chapter in minting history. It continued the use of the Lincoln cent design that had first been introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This was the first time a U.S. coin featured the portrait of an actual historical figure, breaking away from the classical representations of liberty that had dominated earlier coin designs. The designer of the coin was Victor David Brenner, a sculptor and engraver whose depiction of Lincoln was based on a photograph taken by Matthew Brady and a life mask by Leonard Vogt. The image chosen by Brenner portrays Lincoln in profile, facing to the right, with a solemn, contemplative expression. This portrayal aimed to capture the dignity, humility, and strength associated with Lincoln's leadership during the Civil War. The obverse of the 1955 cent featured Brenner's portrait of Lincoln, with carefully balanced inscriptions placed around it. At the top rim of the coin was the motto "In God We Trust," which had appeared on U.S. coinage since the Civil War era. To the left of the portrait was the word "Liberty," symbolizing the democratic ideals for which Lincoln stood. To the right of the bust was the date, 1955, and in some cases, a mint mark just below the date indicated the mint facility where the coin was produced. The absence of a mint mark signified that the coin was minted in Philadelphia, while a small D denoted Denver, and an S indicated San Francisco. The initials of the designer, VDB, were subtly placed on the shoulder of Lincoln's bust, a detail that had been removed from the original 1909 version due to public criticism but reinstated in 1918 in a less conspicuous location. On the reverse side, the 1955 penny featured the wheat ears design, which had remained unchanged since 1909. This side of the coin included two stylized sheaves of Durham wheat curving upward along the left and right edges of the coin. These wheat ears were intended to represent the nation's agricultural foundation and symbolize prosperity and hard work. Centered between the wheat stalks were the large words, 1 cent, denoting the denomination, and directly below that, United States of America. Above these inscriptions was the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one, a phrase that captured the unity of the United States despite its diverse and widespread population. The simple yet symbolic elements of the reverse design were meant to be both functional and beautiful, ensuring legibility and reinforcing national ideals. The composition of the 1955 Lincoln cent followed the standard bronze alloy used at the time. Each coin was struck in an alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This composition had been used almost continuously since 1864, except during the wartime emergency of 1943 when steel cents coated with zinc were produced due to copper shortages. The 1955 penny weighed approximately 3.11 grams and had a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, with a plain edge. The copper content gave the coin a rich, reddish-brown color when newly minted, though over time the surface often darkened and developed varying tones of brown or even greenish patinas depending on exposure to air and moisture. This aging process is a point of interest among collectors and can influence a coin's grade and value. The 1955 Lincoln penny is especially significant in numismatic circles due to the existence of a major minting error known as the Double Die Obverse. This error occurred during the die creation process at the Philadelphia Mint, when a working die received a misaligned second impression from the hub, resulting in a dramatic doubling of the obverse features. As a result, the date, 1955, and the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust, appear visibly doubled with pronounced separation between the doubled images. This was not a subtle error but one that could be easily noticed even without magnification. It is believed that approximately 20,000 to 24,000 of these error coins entered circulation before the mistake was discovered. Rather than recalling the coins, the mint allowed them to remain in distribution, and many ended up being dispensed through cigarette vending machines in the northeastern United States. Because of the striking nature of the doubling and its relatively low survival rate in high grades, the 1955 Double Die cent has become one of the most famous and sought-after error coins in American history. The standard 1955 Lincoln cents without errors were produced in large numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 330 million examples, while the Denver and San Francisco mints produced 563 million and 44 million coins respectively. Despite the high mintage, Most regular 1955 cents are common in circulated condition and hold only modest value unless they are in uncirculated condition or have unusual characteristics such as full original red color or high strike quality. However, the error variety has elevated the overall interest in this year's coinage, leading many collectors to examine their 1955 cents closely in hopes of discovering a valuable piece. Overall, the 1955 Lincoln penny represents a continuation of an iconic coin design while simultaneously marking one of the most dramatic mint errors of the 20th century. Its artistry, historical significance, and the attention it has received from the numismatic community underscore its lasting appeal. Whether encountered as a common bronze cent or the rare double die variety, the 1955 Lincoln penny remains a memorable artifact of American coinage history. The 1955 Lincoln penny holds a unique place in the world of numismatics, not just for its design or historical context, but for the extraordinary rarity and value associated with one specific variety, the Double Die Obverse. This error coin is one of the most famous and widely recognized minting mistakes in the history of U.S. coinage. Its rarity stems from the way it was produced, the relatively small number of pieces released into circulation, and the overwhelming demand it has generated among collectors ever since its discovery. The Double Die Obverse variety was the result of a misalignment during the die creation process at the Philadelphia Mint. A working die, used to strike coins, received a second impression from the master hub that was misaligned. Instead of being perfectly overlaid on the first impression, the second was slightly offset. This created a strong, unmistakable doubling of the design elements on the obverse of the coin. The most prominent signs of this doubling appear on the date 1955 and the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust. The doubling is so strong that the letters and numbers appear almost as if they had been shadowed or printed twice, with a clear gap between the two impressions. This is not to be confused with common forms of mechanical doubling, which are less distinct and result from die bounce or machine vibration. In the case of the 1955 double die, the error was present on the die itself, meaning that every coin struck from that die carried the same doubling. Estimates suggest that somewhere between 20,000 and 24,000 of these double die cents were produced. Most were released into circulation before the mint detected the problem. At the time, quality control standards and die-making technologies were less sophisticated than they are today, making such errors more likely to go unnoticed until after coins had already entered the public domain. Once the error was discovered, it was too late to recover the coins, and the decision was made to allow them to remain in circulation. Many of them were dispersed through cigarette vending machines and coin rolls distributed throughout the northeastern United States, which is where the first collectors began to notice the striking error. Because of its dramatic appearance and the fact that it was relatively easy to identify without magnification, the 1955 double die cent quickly became a sensation among coin collectors. It was one of the first modern U.S. coins to be widely sought after not for age or low mintage, but for an identifiable mint error. Over the decades, its fame has only grown, and it is now considered one of the classic American coin errors. The value of this coin has consistently risen, with pricing determined by the condition or grade of the individual piece. Circulated examples of the 1955 double die can still command several $100s, depending on the amount of wear. Even coins in lower circulated grades such as very fine or extremely fine often sell for several hundred to over $1,000. Uncirculated examples are far more valuable, particularly those with original red color and minimal contact marks. A mint state coin graded MS-65 or better can fetch several $1,000s at auction. Some exceptional pieces with full red surfaces and high grades certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC have sold for prices exceeding $10,000. In the highest known grades, the coin is considered a showpiece, often featured in major auctions or high-end collections. In contrast to the famous error variety, regular 1955 Lincoln cents without doubling are very common and typically carry little to no premium over face value in circulated condition. They were struck in large numbers by all three mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. While uncirculated examples of these standard coins can hold modest collector value, especially in high grades with original red coloration, they are not considered rare. There are also many counterfeits and altered coins that mimic the appearance of the 1955 double die cent. Because of its high value and visibility in the hobby, this particular error has been the target of forgers. Common methods include altering a genuine 1955 coin by adding features to make it resemble the double die, or combining two coins to create a deceptive appearance. These counterfeit efforts have led collectors and dealers to rely heavily on authentication and certification from reputable third-party grading services to ensure the legitimacy of the coin. Despite its origins as a mistake, the 1955 Double Die penny has become one of the most iconic and desirable coins in American numismatics. Its rarity is not due to low mintage but to the limited number of error coins that escaped into circulation, and its high value is a product of both this scarcity and the strong demand it continues to attract. It stands as a prime example of how an accident in the minting process can transform a routine coin into a legendary collectible. If you enjoyed today's exploration, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin discoveries, and share this video with fellow collectors. And as always, keep searching for those hidden treasures in your change. You never know when you might stumble upon the next big mystery.